Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Capsule. Before we begin, I hope, like everyone around there, you all are keeping fine, your loved ones are doing good. Please take care, guys, in the current times. And Yes, heading to the fifth edition of Capsule. I think COVID has taught us a lot of things, the new news that we keep seeing around. We have new services, new products, etc., etc. But I think this COVID has also given us few gaps, and that's exactly where Capsule gets positioned. A platform where we invite eminent speakers, panelists to have great discussions. I think I've been lucky to be part of those in the last three. So we've had discussions which cover the need that's there in the industry today, the need of knowledge sharing, be it from the pharma company to our end customer, our stakeholder HCPs, or from the HCPs to the patient. How can we come together, head towards a common goal, be united as one industry? So, with that, I would like to welcome you all again to the new edition of Capsule. Today we have few great panelists with us. So I would like to welcome Mr. Abdul. Hi sir, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Zeenat.
How are you
Thanks.
doing?
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm good. Zeenat. Thanks for the opportunity to be part of Top Mode capsule event. Definitely, this is something relevant and appropriate at this point in time for the pharma professionals as well as the medical industry. Thanks once again.
Definitely, definitely. I think I completely agree with you there. Just a quick introduction with a very heavy and rich experience. Mr. Abdul Sukkur comes here with a knowledge of sales, marketing, channel management, people management. So we are very happy to have you, sir, for the discussion today. I now
Thanks.
move towards introducing our second panelist, Miss Priya. Hi, good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon, Zeenat. It is indeed a very good opportunity to be connected with you all through GAPSULE, and I would like to thank GAPSULE for this and Doc Mode now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us and thank you for taking time. Thank you, ma'am. We move on to our last but not the least, Mr. Nilesh Kotwal. Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Zeenat, and very good afternoon to all my co-panelists and all the participants who are attending this capsule session. And thank you very much for being a part, for making me a part of this today's session. I'm sure there'll be a lot of learning for me to take back as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So here we have our three panelists for today. If you see, there's one unique thing about our panelists today. They all come from a rich marketing experience. So I think definitely look forward to the discussion. So I'll just open up the discussion. Just all right. So I think starting off with Mr. Nilesh. Sorry to bounce off your very first question directly to you here, but I think before we start, it's important that we call out what the change, shift, and the need has been. In our various different editions, we've definitely spoken about lot many things about the need that has happened. There are things that pharma companies were doing even before COVID to in the digital space, but still there's a lot, and COVID definitely has become as a catalyst to accelerate the transformation that the organizations are seeing. So the question here is that irrespective of these attempts that the pharma companies have been making, why is that we do not have very successful cases to talk about when it comes to digital connects, when it comes to digital marketing? So your views on those?
Sure. Thank you so much for the question, Zeenat. Let me put it behaviorally to begin with, and I would like to divide this question into two time zones. The first time zone is the pre-COVID time zone, and the second time zone is what probably I call it as the post-COVID or what we currently are into today. When I analyze it from this particular lens of two different time zones, The way I look at it, or probably some of my co-panelists may also agree, is uh, in the pre-COVID time zone, there was a digital push, or there was a need based digital utilization that we were doing, versus that if we look today in the era of post COVID, the way I see it, it's more in terms of a pull that has been created in the market. And when I look in terms of the post COVID, and if I see the market per se, even the market today is shifting, Zenith. We are now moving, and I like quoting this phrase of mine. We are now moving from what we call it as from illness to wellness, and in this situation we are moving gradually from a therapeutic to a supportive kind of a treatment approach, gradually from a highly physical dependent or a personalized kind of an approach to maybe a digital or a hybrid kind of an approach. And that's where the pull strategy which I was talking of has been created. With so much of newer technological advances in the post COVID era, we as pharmaceuticals probably were more restricting, and I'm using the word restricting, ourselves to probably more of marketing initiatives. Whereas today, what we look at it, we are looking at technology from an outside in approach, be it in terms of our immediate customer need, that is our doctors and the medical fraternity, to the end customer user, what is his need. And from that perspective, today we have technology which is evolved in various segments, be it in terms of maybe telemedicine, be it in terms of video consultation, be it in terms of e-pharmacies, or for that matter even in terms of AI based apps, for accessing appointments and things like that. So that's where the whole shift has happened, which earlier probably was underutilized or was not leveraged because the need really was not felt. And that probably brings me to the answer is the push versus the pull, and that's where the whole success today has been.
Thanks, thanks. I think basically I completely agree with you there because when you said that we as consumers also are moving from illness to wellness, basically we are being more informed. And in the entire era where for each and every small decision, it's just a plethora of knowledge, information that's there, which you can just Google and capture. In that period, it is in fact the strategy from shift is what you're calling out will definitely make a lot of difference. So now I'd like to move to Miss Priya with this question that with the shift that we are just talking about, the strategic shift, uh, do you feel that we today as pharma companies are actually uh, investing correctly or moving in the right direction with the same speed and the pace that is required today?
Okay. Thank you, Zeenat, for that question. And I would like to, congratulate also Mr. Nilesh for that opening on the digital marketing that is the real-time need for today's marketing efforts in whether it is in pharma or in any other industry for that matter. Now coming to the question, see, there has been an instance where we always have heard from, our childhood necessity is always a mother of all inventions. So I believe, that pre-COVID also, there was a digital push. There was a lot of digital push because of the invention of smart mobile phones, iPads, and all that has come in. People moving slowly from the books to digital media. No, nowadays people are not reading actual books, but it is all digital based books that are available. So definitely there was a push pre-COVID in terms of digital era, I'm saying. But as we move on now, this way, the pandemic has really taught us a lot on how we have to, remove all our reticence that we have towards, sharing of knowledge or sharing of data. Earlier times, it used to be where we were reluctant or we were not very confident of digital media whether the right information will reach the customer, because it leads to life, it leads to disease management. And the right information reach is very, very important. Nowadays, even doctors say the same thing. We have to read a lot when we are facing the patients, when we are facing the patients, because nowadays patients who are coming are like Google doctors, who already have so much of information and asking the doctor, I've read about this particular product, why don't you prescribe me this particular product to me? So the doctors also have to be ready with their answers. They have to be digitally also very well equipped in terms of understanding the patient needs. So in that sense, I feel we were slow in our digital push when it comes to pharma marketing is concerned. And right now the pace that we are in is a right pace, and if we continue doing this, I feel we will be reaching somewhere, because today's patient is not like earlier patients where doctor used to put something in a pudi. There used to be GPs who used to give ye neela goli khana hai, ye blue goli khana hai. That times have gone now. Clearly they say that this is what is the medicine. I'm prescribing ibuprofen for this, I'm prescribing diclofenac for this. So even today, a layman who is well educated knows what is diclofenac used for and what paracetamol is used for. So, but end of the day, I would like to quote one thing is that when there is a lot of information in the digital space available, we as pharmaceutical companies also have to behave very responsibly in sharing that data. And that is where our responsibility comes into the picture, that how much information can be put on the digital platform directly to the patients. So this is what I would like to put as my comment here. Thank you.
Thanks. So basically, what you're saying is it's a positive track for us overall as industry. We are going in the right direction. We did have a slow start, but thankfully we're on track now. So I think that's also good to hear. So thank you for that. Uh, I now move to Mr. Abdul, and I think we just spoke about how the strategic shift needs to happen. Also, confirmation which we got from Ms. Priya that we might be on track now, finally. Given this journey and this track that's currently reached, uh, I know this is not a fair question to ask, but I'm just tempted to know if I have to ask you this, that how long do you see that we as industry have to move in this direction with the given pace to be as equal to, say, maybe FMCG industry? And I know there were references earlier that we should never connect pharma companies to FMCG, but it's always great to benchmark, right? And if FMCGs set that benchmark there, so how long do you see pharma companies to take to evolve to that stage?
That's a very interesting question, Zeenat. That how long pharma is going to take, in its journey towards digital savviness, or at an appropriate level when it's going to reach, and are we going to reach anytime soon at par with the industry like FMCG, which is at the cutting edge in terms of digital communications? So it's an interesting question. And before I take that question, I'd just like to add a couple of points to the first two questions of yours, what Nilesh and Priya had, addressed it so very beautifully. Yes, definitely. As a country, if you look at the last 2 decades, we have slowly started moving from illness to wellness. That's a very interesting point Nilesh has made, and more true it is the way nutraceuticals are being gobbled up in India, in the pharmacies and everywhere, and the awareness on immunity, awareness as, that is only augmented further the need for moving towards feeling feeling well, rather than taking the patient when he is ill. So I remember those days, when I was a frontline sales manager. I was based at Darbhanga, which is in North Bihar, northern part of Bihar, close to Nepal. Uh, all the trains, the patient used to be taken to the hospital via my house. The patient has to be taken via my house. I can see from my house that if patients are going. Okay, so from the station, the patient used to be carried on a charpaya. You understand charpaya, no? That is, in the wooden bed, like kind of a thing. Yeah, they because either you are so sick that you have to be carried. That's when normally patients used to go to doctors. Till then, everything is, some self medication, some, local medicines. Allopathy was there, but in the penetration of allopathic practitioners and awareness, literacy, all these things, even today is less in a place like BR. More so, I am talking about 1996. So from there, now we have come a long way, that from treating illness to managing wellness, India has come a long way, thanks to IT revolution, thanks to all the developmental indices coming up, thanks to new education, new economic policy. Slowly India liberalized, and we are here today. So naturally, along with moving from illness to wellness, we have also, as an industry, pharma industry has also moved, many paces, and pharma industry is on a very strong footing, globally as well as in India. If you look at the 2 points I would say regarding uh, Indian pharma industry. See, one is that Indian pharma industry has always been at the innovation, at the forefront of innovation. Indian pharma industry has always adapted to newer things. Okay, India, this industry was the first to outsource many functions, while many other industries were not doing it. We were the one of the first industries to outsource many functions, including even HR. So that's one. And second, as a country, we are the IT backbone for the world. So the population, general public as well as medical professionals, they are IT savvy. So slowly, the adoption to technology, or their willingness to move towards technological things has always been increasing. So in this overall macroeconomic environment, what is helping? No, this is helping us. This is helping us in terms of our digital revolution or digital acceptance. Coming to your question of whether how are we going to take the uh, digital initiatives forward, whether any particular tool is relevant or not relevant, where we want to move, this what is the question now. um,
So, Mr. Abdul, also adding to
yeah,
that,
yeah.
roughly around what time do you estimate that we would be in a more matured stage of this revolution?
Yes. Thanks for bringing me back to that question. So I think that I would not give any particular time frame as to when we will be at par with the FMCG industry, or when we would be very advanced in terms of our digital approach. What I can see, the broad indicators I can say that I already sense that most of the top 50 pharma companies, if you look at, they have adopted to digital initiatives, digital technology. There's a separate department which is running the digital initiatives in every company. This is number one. And number two, if you look at the basic pharma to doctor interaction, uh, visual aid, which was the golden thing, golden book for all of us. Slowly, all companies have adopted this digital tool in terms of tab, or palm top, or whatever, for detailing. So this is one thing which has already happened. Now, as Salil from GSK always says, that don't use, visual aid page on glass top. So detail, you don't use another communication on LBL on glass top. So pharma companies are doing that now, but they have reached there. Now from there, what we have to do, we have to move towards more effective and more appropriate communication to the customers, which are interesting to them. I think it'll once we are on this ground, firm ground, that we have the technology, we have the tool, we have also invested time and resources on this. Now, most important thing for us is, maybe I think we have to train our field force, apart from just giving them the tools. We have handed over the tools to them, and we assume that they are digital savvy. India is a digitally savvy country. So you give the visual aid on the glass top to them, you give PDFs to them, you give videos to them, and then you just ask them to go and to do their job. That's not enough. What I think is that we need to invest a lot of time in our people, both the frontline sales managers as well as representatives, to make them aware that how to use this, where to use this, and at the same time, they should also know how to do digital profiling of customers, depending upon the profile of the customer. Like, we do market survey and customer survey segmentation, based on which we promote products, even in a physical world. Same is applicable in the digital world. So I think that we are in the right direction, though I can't say that we can. I don't think we may ever be able to reach the level of FMCG industry where there is no need basically, because this is an indirect marketing compared to an FMCG, which is a direct marketing. Field force will always complement the efforts of the digital engagement. So with that, I think it will be a blend of both physical and digital. One size does not fit for all. Enough training and education needs to be imparted to our field force. That's what I think is my take.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. I move to Mr. Nilesh. You've got a point there. Yes, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Thank you so much, Zeenat. Thank you for letting me add on to just what Mr. Abdul and Miss Priya said. I couldn't be even uh, less in agreement with both. I totally agree with both the panelists. I think what we are looking at, and I just want to give some statistical perspective here, while with the caveat that comparing ourselves with FMCG may not be the right comparison to begin with in the first place. But to give a statistical perspective, uh, from 2018, we have moved Indian healthcare industry or Indian digital healthcare industry has moved from close to around 116 billion, and it's estimated to reach to close to around 480 billion. That's the kind of transition that we are looking at over the next 4 or 5 years. That's a huge shift that we are looking at. That's number one. So definitely we are very, very progressive when it comes to the digital healthcare. The number two important statistics that I want to throw, and all this is available in the public domain, it's not my work. I want to put that right up front, is that today, when we look at some kind of dipstick surveys, almost one third of our patients today are accessing telemedicine in some shape or form. So we have definitely moved ahead. Today, if we see 60% of our patients of who want to have a visit confirmed with the doctor, 60% of them are using some form of digital media. It could be a website, it could be even a phone for that matter, versus what it used to be going and taking a personal appointment. So that's the shift. And to give a growth perspective, that's 300 times more than what it was in 2018. That's the momentum of that we have picked up. And last but not the least, we need to look at India as not one India. When we look at India today, every state is digitally different. Every state has adopted digital wave
Sorry.
differently. I think we need to have uh, as many states as we have, 21, 22 Indias that we need to look at when we as pharma companies are doing the digital segmentation of the country overall. And I think that's where we will be, as Mr. Abdul said, not one fits all. We need to have 21, 22 Indias to do the segmentation, the digital segmentation of the country. Just to add on.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that piece. And thank you, Mr. Abdul,
Thanks.
for actually also sharing a very positive and a fresh perspective onto how the progress has been in the industry. I guess what we are saying overall is that with this change today, it's important that the statement, Mr. Abdul, which you made, that one size does not fit all. uh, with that approach and mindset, be it the segmentation, uh, the micro segmentation and hyper personalization journeys that we will have to build for our customers accordingly, then help them and guide them and give the right service as needed and education requirements, followed by that entire equity that you're building with them, which all relies on to the core stakeholder, which is our field force. And with that, I'd like to come to you, Ms. Priya, on that. I guess most of the digital campaigns, while we have a lot of technologies that have come in, which already a lot of companies are using in today, multiple platforms, multiple solutions. Uh, where it gets stuck, I would say, or where do we see that effectiveness is not as per what is desired is also because of the readiness and the digital maturity of the field force. So, what would you say to this? That how do we address this? That when you spoke about that pace, that we are on the right track, but given the pace at which the rest of the other things are also changing and it's multifold, how do we ensure that our field force are also adopting with that same pace and speed with us?
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that question, Zena. Uh, as rightly put up by Mr. Abdul, also, the traditional gold standard that used to be of communication where paper was used, actual paper was being used. Now that paper is already, vanishing. It is shifting now. The focus is shifting towards the screens, towards the LED screens. Now, how do we improve the acceptance? Acceptance is there. I will not say that the acceptance is not there. People are gradually, working towards accepting it, and people have started accepting. But let me just give you a perspective. Like, I'm dealing with African markets. I'm just giving you an example. Where internet is the biggest challenge. So in such instances, there is electricity is also a big challenge. So how do I power up my, if I have particularly given an iPad to my reps? There is a particular country where we are giving only iPads and we are uploading all the communications that are needed probably through these tabs. But the challenge again comes over here, even though we train the medical reps on usage part, the actual challenge comes in the country perspective. The country dynamics also plays a very important role, where the infrastructure plays a key role. So this can be implemented probably in metros, in bigger cities where the infrastructure is quite good enough, where there is a good bandwidth. Now even for that matter, we in India, we have moved on gradually from 4G to 5G network bandwidth, but still there are internet challenges that we are facing even today. So unless I think we are able to kind of bridge that gap, we cannot say that we have been successful in implementing the digital platforms through the medical reps completely. But yes, when it comes to acceptance part and training the medical reps or training the field force in terms of educating or sending the message across through digital platform, the only key tool which I can see is the continuous education on how to use the digital media in the right and effective manner. As I again say over here is, the right information has to be spread across, because here again training plays a very important role. And to be very honest, till now I see that there is lot of gap seen in terms of accepting a training budget in the pharma industry. Many companies, although have started taking that as an important lead or an important step, but still there is a set of company or set of people who don't fully believe in investing in training. So that mindset also needs to change within ourselves before we bring in that change into the actual platform. Is what is my take on this actually.
Yeah, you're right. Because I think till the time the digital training of the field force is not seen as the focus, it will always be treated as one of the checklist activity that's happening around. And I guess you're right. If we have to look at the technological transformation and we can talk about all future readiness and bring in the great systems, but the guys who are eventually going to put everything together and have that integrated approach executed is our field force. So I think the same question I would like Mr. Nilesh to hear from you also, your take on this. And do you see that there's something we're not doing enough and something we should be focusing on?
Uh, I wouldn't say that we are not doing enough. In fact, probably we have moved a distance when it comes to training or the L&D piece, as we call it in the industry, from an era wherein we used to have, and I remember when I started my journey way around 20 to 23 years back, we used to have a 30 days of a training program in and that used to be, and I'm sure my co-colleagues would agree that 25-30 days used to be an average residential kind of a training program, from there on, it started gradually becoming more like a crash course to on-job training courses. And today, most of us have also adopted the digital training, wherein we do not need the residential kind of a training program. So we have begun. uh, However, having said that, there has to be, within the limitation of technology, within the limitation of digital training, as I call it, we need to understand that while we are doing this digital training, today we are talking to probably a laptop or an iPad or a phone when the training is being imparted. We have lost the so-called human touch, you know, and so there shouldn't be a, and if we try to bombard too many things in this digital training in that small capsule or module, because today the problem for my L&D team or for my training department is the problem of plenty. How can I put in all those things that I need to train, right from probably the disease to the molecule or the drug to the market and everything that goes into the initial training piece, how do I put in all that into that small one capsule? So that's the challenge which the training team has to jointly work with the marketing teams, with our sales teams to understand what's must to do, what's good to do, and probably what's a ongoing thing, because not everything probably can happen in the initial training period, and it has to be in a phased manner. So to answer your question, we need to have buckets, in a way that we don't do too many things. And I strongly believe, especially when it comes to any form of communication, be it in terms of training or be it in terms of brand communications, I strongly believe more is not more and less is more in certain situations like this.
Right. I like it has to be effective,
Yes.
more than just the numbers. I agree there. And I think just on this, Mr. Abdul, we haven't heard from you on the same
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
What's your view on the field training? And when we're talking about field training, there's a lot that's happening. Every company, like we just discussed, have a big team working towards it. There's a lot of focus on definitely the therapy knowledge, download, induction, etc. A lot around selling skills. But are we doing enough for around the digital training? When we
Absolutely.
say we just spoke about hyper personalization, right? Segmentation, profiling it better. You brought that point about how one size doesn't fit all. So if we are
Yeah.
expecting that we are creating different personas and we want the medical rep to be so agile to actually turn the different deliveries, and that's like multiple permutation combinations right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's quite that we're asking from them definitely. But yeah, do you think that we're doing enough to head in the right direction when we talk
Yeah.
about field training?
Yeah, thanks, Zeenat. I think what Nilesh elaborated was very appropriate in the sense that today's training content is packed. Too much of content gets packed in a short weeks capsule. That's what he was talking about, compared to a 1 month, full month program, which used to happen when the training gets over. The MR used to carry with himself the physical carton box full of 30, 40 books, you know, medical marketing manuals he used to carry back home. So that's how it used to be. Coming to your specific question on, are we doing enough training and handholding in terms of digital to the medical reps? The answer as of now is yes and no. It depends upon the companies. Currently, as I told you earlier, uh, most of the top companies have equipped the people with the medium, that is either a tab or any other kind of medium. They have been equipped, and even the content also has been uploaded. Content, no, I'm talking about the usual visual aid pages, and whatever goes along with that, the collaterals along with that, either it is a PDF or a PPT or some interesting points and all those things. Even the product manuals, everything is packed into that. But are we doing enough training in terms of reps managers ability to identify and judge and decide which doctor whom I should how much I should use and what kind of mode I should use, and what kind of content I should send it to him, discuss with him. So that kind of training still has to happen in many companies. um, in physical world, what we used to do, we used to have very clear ideas about doctor brand segmentation and brand indication, the indication segmentation, all those things, we were very clear. Now what is happened is that at the hands of the rep, you have the entire visual aid available with him. Any specialty, any brand, any particular page, what he wants to promote, he can promote. So that's the current thing. That's where I think that some training needs to be given to our people. As in any business or any interaction, human interaction, repetition is brings reputation, reputation brings success. So the more we create modules in such a way that we can improve the savviness, digital savviness of our people, at the same time increase the hit rate at the customer level. They identify the right customer for the right digital tool, then we are in for the long haul. So that's what I feel. In fact, I can give you an example here. uh, in 1990s, beginning early 90s, Apex Laboratories was a small company. They were launching Zincovit. Only after the launch of Zincovit, Apex became something. You will not believe, when they launched the product, they launched this product with a 32 slide projector. And in those days, we had only acetate sheets and 32 slide projectors. Any brand manager or marketing team will come and use the projector, digital, that is 32 slide projector, or the reviews, sales reviews used to happen with these acetate sheets, OHP sheets. So it was a 32 slide projector with which Zincovit was launched. And to whom it was launched? It was not launched to GPs or RMPs or anything. It was launched to physicians, specialists. And doctors gave 20 minutes time for detailing a multivitamin product. Those days, multinational companies had as part of their basket some vitamin preparations. But this was one of the first company to take up a product and highlight. And you can imagine the quality of the medical rep or the area manager at that point in time for a small company taking an appointment from a customer. So why I'm making this point, if the content is right, and if the idea is taking shape, the market is listening to it, and if you use the right irrespective of the medium, if you train the person well and then hand over the medium to him, the mode, the MR, he will do his job. Or even if it goes through WhatsApp, through email, through any mode, from our side, it's the MR who decides. He tells us that this is a doctor, this communication should go. A 2-minute video should go to these doctors. 10-minute video should go to these doctors. They are the one who are going to tell us. So I think if we invest time and resources in MR training, medium or mode is not important. The technology will do its role, and what we get in return, we get consistency in communication. See, we always have this challenge, pharma marketeers. We launch a product, we have a division, but 300 reps are there. Every rep is giving a different productivity. Input is same, activities are same, strategy is same. It's a $1 million question for a marketer. Why it happens? In the hands of a medical rep, sales becomes art, science becomes art. When you bring the digital mode, we are trying to bring in some science again, because there is consistency in the message getting delivered to the customer, and the message distortion becomes lesser and lesser. But still, there is enough and more to be done in terms of hand-holding the medical rep. That's what I feel.
Thank you for your response. Empowering our field force with the right knowledge, with the right techniques, is basically what we need to continue to focus around. But also, I think you mentioned about where when we talk about our customers, there's a lot that is happening. If suddenly we are empowering our field force with digital, there's also techniques and platforms that the marketing teams are using to reach out to doctors. So what's happening
Right.
is there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of communication happening around brands, happening around
Yes.
therapy, and like it's mostly around also therapy building, where it's become a big competition out there on these platforms to see of which brand or which therapy is actually taking the lead, etc. So, do you see that all these various different communication? Uh, do you see this as a good direction because it's helping us create knowledge, create more and more information out there, even if it is not helping the top specialist, but maybe for a GP, it's great knowledge to actually capture in a bite-sized content. Or do you see that this bombardment is actually going to result in saturation and then result in ineffectiveness of digital channels to reach out to customer? And I think I'd just like to hear open this question up to anyone who would like to take it in the panel.
Yeah, Nilesh, you want
Um,
to take that? Yeah.
yeah, no.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I may sound repetitive, but again, some kind of data that I have been reading. If you look at the top performing companies, we've seen that the optimum utilization of e-learning or digital training by the top performing companies has been to the tune of say 40% of these companies who have optimally used digital learning, versus the mid performing or the so called companies have been using it to the tune of 19 to 11%. Having said that, there will be laptops, there will be iPads, there will be smartphones, there will be various gadgets that we will come across in the near future. But I think so when it comes to learning, when it comes to e-learning, and when it comes to digitalization or bombardment of information, I think the biggest asset which we should not forget is people. We need to totally empathize and understand the learning needs of our teams before we actually shoot with so much of data on them. I think that's the important thing that we need to understand, and that's the biggest asset, because if there is receptivity, you win, no matter how less or how more information you pass on. So I think that's the important asset of our so-called people that we need to keep at the top of the ladder.
To add to what Nilesh is saying, Zeenat, see the fundamental reason why we exist as pharma industry is that the doctor needs some knowledge, some information from all of us. That's how it all started. If you look at those days of 1930s or 40s, I was told that literally doctors used to come to railway station. In the platform, they used to wait for the medical rep to come. The train may stop, train may not stop. The doctors used to receive medical literatures, which is a prized possession for them at that point in time, from the medical rep who used to travel from far flung places. From there, we moved a long distance, even in the 80s and 90s, where the Indian pharma industry started blooming and multiplying itself with lot of Indian biggies, coming in, and with a lot of newer and newer products being launched, along with multinational companies playing a bigger role. What happened is that to the doorstep, pharma industries took the knowledge sharing and in terms of information exchange, all relevant and up-to-date information, be it a ciprofloxacin or a simvastatin or whatever brand, whatever molecule which was newer, which was getting launched, and companies used to go and talk to the doctors and gave relevant information, up-to-date and precise information. And doctors used to love it, in those days. And sitting in one place at the comfort of their chamber, they used to get all the information about themselves, about the brand the company is promoting, as well as about the competitor. So doctors became more and more knowledgeable and they could treat their patients better. So the pivotal question why pharma industry exists, and why either it is digital or physical, the reason for all of us to come together is to help doctor improve his patient footfall, or rather help doctor take care of his patients better, manage the outcomes better. So in those days doctors were totally dependent on pharma industry. It was coupled with CMEs or seminars or national conferences. Slowly, when palm tops came, PDFs came, many other things came, companies started using those technologies. But of late, if you look at, doctors have taken up to the technology in terms of WhatsApp and email in a big way. So it's not that it is something which is suddenly happening only because of COVID. Yes, because of COVID, it is getting augmented. But doctors have always been using the WhatsApp as well as the email thing. But what was happening is that either it is physical visual aid or physical one-to-one meeting or a digital interface, if you give gibberish to the doctor, somebody goes and talks about telmisartan, this is a 10th person who goes and talks about telmisartan, the 15th person who goes and talks about rosuvastatin to the doctor. In front of your own eyes, the literature goes to the dustbin. There is a big dustbin he keeps in a corner where even the samples go sometimes. So either it is physical or digital. If gibberish is given, garbage is given to him, he will throw it in the garbage bin. So the question here is that how do we make it relevant to him, useful to his patients, and it can improve his practice and insights can be given. So then doctor is going to listen to you. Pharma industry has always been doing it in the best possible way. Newer and newer insights about an older drug or different strength, like aspirin was a painkiller. Aspirin became a lifesaver thanks to pharma industry. So all these things are possible only through pharma industry interfacing with the medical profession. So coming back to this digital question, whether digital or physical, digital is going to be relevant and appropriate. Doctors are going to take it with both their hands if we provide the right content and train our people. Today, what is happening? Why initial phase, a lot of doctors rejected the footfalls or the eyeballs were less because everybody is sharing something which is me too. So that's where the market. It's a marketer's challenge. It is not a digital challenge. It's rather a marketer's challenge. You have to go back to the drawing board to give something interesting to the customer.
Correct. I think the relationship definitely is undeniable between the pharma companies and the HCP. And like you said, we need to see that we constantly keep evolving and adding value to our customer. I will have to open the panel for the questions that we've been receiving, and we've received like really interesting ones. But there's just a one quick short question I'd like to squeeze in for Miss Priya here. So, end customer is the most important person. Agreed. Uh, it is for the welfare of the HCP and for better treatment outcomes. Doctors and pharma companies operate. Is what we just heard. So, do you think that physicians and pharma companies need to sit together and find out what the best outcome and the solution is? Because there has to be a meeting ground between the pharma companies and the end customer. Like even when we are talking about digitization, it's not just the noise that we have to create, but also have do it right and get quality. So, your take.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. And I was just hearing to my two co-panelists also regarding the digital marketing aspect in terms of what is being told and how much is being told. Anything which is over is never acceptable to anybody. That is rightly been seen up also. The thing is, whenever a doctor is nowadays, the doctors have become busy in terms of patient fallout. So in that situation, there are so many pharma companies with so many medical reps going with so much of information that the doctor has to take in. He has to hear his patients out, and after a tiring day, he has to hear the pharma companies also. So here, the responsibility again, the onus is on us on what information we are actually saying. Nowadays, to the extent it has come where the doctors are saying, okay, is there something new you want to share it, or is it just a reminder, or what do you want to exactly say? I know your brand. I know what it is being told. So the thing is, now it is equally responsible. It is responsibility of the pharma company and the pharma executives to take the right information to the doctor. And at the same time, I will just like to give one perspective. In COVID era, there has been a change which I felt is there is a change. Earlier, when pharma companies used to give literatures, new research articles, they used to hear out, read it, okay, fine. But now what has happened in COVID era, there is lot of webinars taking place all over. There are a lot of CMEs which are digitally, people are getting connected, doctors are coming online and talking about a particular disease management, about a particular treatment, and educating patients on things. So indirectly what has happened is that we have made the doctor read more in this way. Earlier, who also he used to read, but maybe in his own silo. But now what is happening, it has become open. People have come on the forum debating on particular topic, talking about a particular topic. So it has become an open thing. And that has given a better chance and opportunity for the pharma companies also to connect with the doctors in a better manner. Now the connect is, I think, improved, because now there is no physical connect much that is happening between the pharma and the doctors. So now the thing has come to such an extent, okay, I don't want to be digitally connected, what, come and meet me here. That was not the case pre-COVID. Before that, people used to say, okay, if you have something special, you have an appointment, then you come and meet me. But now COVID times, things have changed. So there is some pluses and there is also some minuses in this. So in this, coming back to the question that you have asked, that is there a need for a particular forum? So this, I think digital media has a lot of role to play over here in terms of connecting the pharma and the doctor fraternity when it comes to, because there is so much of sharing that can happen on this forum, which may not be possible in, okay, physically. Yes, we can interact, we can talk, we can spend a half a day, full day. But when it comes to digital, there is an information sharing that can be on a continuous basis. There has to be something which is continuous, because these kind of platforms that can be created where the medical fraternity and the pharma community can come together under one roof is possible through digital media, is what I basically believe in that. And that's my take, that yes, we all can kind of build an association or an organization wherein it is not just business, it is beyond business. Because anytime what happens is, webinars or anything that is happening, there is definitely a give and take always. You give this much, I give this much. So beyond that, if the doctor sees a need that no, this platform is something new where I am able to share my experiences, where I am able to learn something, there are some things which are being shared on this, definitely those kind of associations will become more and more popular through word of mouth publicity, and it will help in turn. Even there will be a lot of newer solutions that will be patient related solutions that can be provided in these associations. Because virtually speaking, you will see one almost like say 30-40% of the population may be having a smartphone with a healthify app, any one app which is there available on them. So they will try to track themselves, they will try to track their disease management, what is happening with them. So people have become techno savvy and also knowledge savvy these days. But our reach is not just this 25-30% of, as I earlier also said, the metros is not the only reach. We have to see beyond the metros, the rural population, which is much bigger. And how do we kind of take these camps or these kind of workshops to those rural areas where very, very important to educate the patients, and that pharma companies can really do a good job. But there used to be olden time, there used to be a lot of camps, medical camps that used to be set up. So can those kind of medical camps be set up in those kind of areas where the doctor is able to educate the patients through the pharma venture in that? So that is what I feel, that if we can come into some kind of a consensus there, definitely it is going to help the end user.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Priya. Sorry, Mr. Nilesh, just we'll have to just head to the question round. But I think I'll allow you that. Please, let's hear
No,
from you.
just a simple one liner there. I think who better than our medical fraternity and our doctors, who are the end users of our digital footprint, who better than them can guide us on how much to do, when to do, and how to do. I think they are, let's give them their they are seeing their patients day in and day out. They are going through the same kind of trauma, actively fighting to prevent loss of life. And in that, if we are bombarding them with too much of digital footprint, we may not be doing justice. So who better than them can give guide us on what we should do, how much we should do, and at what frequency. That was my simple take.
Thank you. Like, I'm sorry, I was stopping you there, but thank you so much for adding that, and thank you to add in your thoughts here. Uh, now, Ms. Priya, actually, one of your address kind of covered the question we already have here, which was more around like access to healthcare in tier 3 markets and villages, and is pharma industry taking the right initiative to expand? You did address there that it's important that we head to these geographies now and push shift our focus there. There's very interesting question that's come in. I'll just read that out for the group, open for anyone to react on that. Do you think if medical rep gets themselves trained into digital, they can get easily promoted, or they can easily change their job profile to a brand manager or a product manager? So thank you, Sneha, for that interesting question. Uh, yes.
Yeah, Sneha, it's a good question. It's it's very important that every individual has his or her aspirations. One should be ambitious. One should have their own goals, uh, and earlier the better. Earlier in life, you are clear about what you want to do, where you want to go. It depends purely on your strengths and weaknesses. As of now, what you are made, what makes you happy, uh, what you are good at. For example, I can tell you somebody is very good in number crunching, and somebody who is very good in making PowerPoint, number crunching. Along with that, if the basic interest in product knowledge and science, very interested in science, in all the sessions, he or she is the one who answers the questions and gets full marks. That is a person who can be suitable, who can get into pharma marketing. Okay, somebody who is in good in communication, somebody who has a basic flair towards grasping scientific things and is interested in having a long conversation with the brand managers, always interested in engaging with the doctors in a scientific way. So that is a person who will be interested in becoming a brand manager. If you have that in you, definitely the company can train you, because most of the guys in pharma industry, either you take any department, either it is strategy or training or no, even marketing, you take function after function. No, people have come from the field. People have come from the field. So there is an equal opportunity for people who come from the field. Yeah, I think that's what my take is.
Thank you. Uh, I think just on the earlier part of our conversation, there's one question. And the question is, how different is OTC marketing from FMCG product marketing?
OTC.
I think with the group of marketing experts that I have in front of me, it's open. Any one of y'all who would like to take this question?
If you look at India, yeah, Nilesh, you want to answer that, please? Yeah. So if you look at the Indian marketing, if you look at, no, there is a thin line between OTX and OTC. Okay, whereas internationally there is an evolved market for OTC. In India, there is always confusion. Currently, what is happening is that popular brands are getting advertised on the media. Once the brand becomes a bigger 100 crore, 50 crore brand, they slowly take it to OTC, or even make a little change in the brand name and take it OTC. Uh, but there is no clear consensus or guidelines as of now in India. The framework needs to be stronger for us to understand and come to a conclusion that this is where we are safe. So currently, it is free for all.
Got it.
So there is
When
not much
the
of a difference between OTC and OTX. That's what my answer is actually, in terms of
Right. I think the question was also comparing like OTC against versus FMCG industry. I think once you bring it to OTC, it's basically end consumer. It's D2C.
yeah,
D2C then becomes it's almost similar ball game with just slight twist and turns.
yeah,
So we come to the end of our very engaging and very interesting 1 hour discussion that we had today. I think I can't thank you three enough for this discussion. There's a lot that we actually covered, right from the part where we mentioned about how we shouldn't be comparing ourselves with the FMCG company. We have taken the right step. We are going at the right pace. We have to do these things right. But the most important stakeholder, I think there were two key stakeholders that most of our discussion were focused around. One, the internal stakeholder, which is our field force, that we need to train them right. Mr. Nilesh, the point that you called out, that it's the numbers have gone down, but then also what we need to focus is the effectiveness increases there in the training that we do with our field force. When we talk about, and the second part which we covered, Mr. Priya, what you, Ms. Priya, sorry, you brought in was around the HCPs and also the forum that we were talking about of let's understand from the doctors, let's understand what's there as the need, and then let's build solutions, let's build knowledge capsules, etc., which helps them and which is what their need is. They're not hesitant to technology. They're not saying no to this, but then they would like to know how it's helping them and adding value overall. So thanks a ton, and thank you so much being
Thanks.
patient with me in this session. So thank you again for joining in for today's session.
Yeah. Thanks, Zenith, and thanks, Doc Mode, for making this event a possibility. In fact, Doc Mode can play a pivotal role in terms of bringing all these stakeholders, either it is doctors or pharma companies, not even doctor and pharma companies, even the patients, in a all-in-one web, where technology can be used, and definitely, days are going to be better for the entire pharma industry with the use of technology. So my
Yeah.
congratulations to Doc Mode. A good job done. You have been
Thank you.
walking a tight rope. Yeah, yeah. Thanks so much.
I
Uh,
agree.
and
I
and
agree.
we envision that we can do the same, bridge the gap. And thank you for sharing knowledge. It all happens with sharing knowledge, and we try and create these kind of platforms for you all to come over here and share these kind of insights for the audience with us. And thank you all for this session. It was great and meaningful to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Zeenat, for being a wonderful moderator. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zinat.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
thanks,
all.
Priya.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Thank you
Zenith, for
so
being a
much.
wonderful person
yeah.
there.